Sam Harris is going viral for comments that he made about the reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Harris joined the Trigonometry podcast and was discussing how President Trump and his, quote, cult were to blame for the combustible society we live in.
Harris, of course, condemned the assassination and emphasized there was no place in American politics for that. But then he said this.
There's no party left of center, real party for political assassination. And yet right of center, very prominent people from the president and Elon on down treated it like the first shot fired in the Civil War. Totally irresponsible, totally dishonest. I mean, these people were arsonists pretending to be firefighters. I mean, Elon jumped on X within minutes before Kirk was declared dead, certainly before his killer was caught, and said the left is the party of murder.
Harris continued trashing Musk and Trump. Here's more.
It's beyond reckless. I mean, it's just sociopathic. It's just he is just flinging matches into a landscape that has been just soaked in gasoline. And the soaking has been done mostly by Trump and Trumpism and just the grifters right of center like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones. I mean,
Musk responded to Harris, writing on X, "Sam Harris is just plain stupid and an expletive to boot." And producer of the Charlie Kirk show, Blake Neff, said a left-wing lunatic murdered Charlie, and the left celebrated it, justified it, ridiculed those who mourned it, and then hacks like Sam Harris come along and denied it happened. Yeah, look, I certainly think Elon's claim that the left is the party of murder is... Well, the left isn't even a party. The Democrats are a party. The left is a ideological faction, is a kind of overheated thing to say. But there were thousands and thousands of left-leaning people who expressed glee that Charlie Kirk was killed. So I think to just, jump past all that and say, oh, the reaction on the right is so much worse, if you're talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination in particular, is not persuasive at all. So I disagree with Sam Harris on that.
Well, I think the key difference is that you can't control online whether they're trolls, real people that feel that way, and a swath of people, no matter if they're large or small following, right? We talked about that with Fuentes. You can't control people online. But what you can look at and look to are elected officials that are behaving in a manner that's not conducive to bringing the temperature down. And so when we look at most, and if not, I'll say all, and that might be a blanket statement if there was one or two that didn't, but for the most part, in my research, Democratic leaders all condemned the killing of Charlie Kirk and didn't have much more to say past that it was a tragedy. And then on the Republican side, a lot of people took the immediate initiative to blame Democrats. Even President Trump at the funeral talked about, I hate my enemy. So the language being used around somebody's death that was just straight up tragic and wrong was not appropriate for people that are trying to bring the country together. You want Republican leadership. Elon Musk, I'm not counting him either because he's not an elected official. But when you and I talk about it, when Amber and I talk about it, elected officials had one job, and it's to condemn political violence because it happened on both sides of the aisle this year. And so that was their job. And so when the president takes the opportunity to try to heighten everybody and kind of suggest that other leaders try to suggest that we're in a friction of almost no return Civil War style in our country, that's not the best idea. Now, of course, the words used, I wouldn't use the same exact words as, on this podcast, but I do think that everybody could do better, particularly on the right that wanted to make this a moment to point out how the left is bad, to just figure out how to bring the temperature down, because that's where we are right now. People should be able to have dialogue, disagree what Charlie Kirk stood on, and also still be able to communicate.
I think some conservatives respond to that with a comment, oh, now we have to turn the temperature down. Someone with a left-wing motivation killed Charlie Kirk. Someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. There's an increasing, this is the conservative perspective, there's an increasing fear of actual left-wing terrorism out there. And now you're saying our rhetoric is the problem. What about your rhetoric? What about the way you describe Trump as an authoritarian and all that is lending itself, is egging these people on to commit these kinds of things. Just as we were just talking about the Capitol riots, if you hold Trump responsible for what those people did, is not the crazy anti-Trump rhetoric on the Democratic side responsible?
And I think the ping pong is embarrassing for the entire country. What I've said often is that people overuse words like Trump comparing him to Hitler or fascist or on both sides. And I pointed out and cited examples in the past few years of President Trump using the word and other major leaders in the Republican Party, as well as we know Democrats do it almost every day. Every mainstream media outlet has an opportunity to speak and does it. And I think that it's overuse and over-exaggeration. And it talks about it in a variety of ways, how it's like crying wolf. And then we really have a problem in this country where in this year alone, leadership have gotten assassinated, someone of major acknowledgement has gotten killed, and then here we are just still blaming each other. We haven't learned much. Up next, President Trump says he's all about America first, but his actions as of late don't seem to reflect that. I'll discuss that next in My Lens. Stick around.